Yeah, I guess, hello guys. I guess I don't see anybody else in the meeting, so I guess it's just us. Did you have any RSVPs, Eric, other than Liz Bishop?
Chris was doing the RSVPs.
Yeah, thanks. I'd be surprised if we didn't have.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the NTSB media briefing today with Board Chairman Robert L. Sumwalt. He will give some remarks and then take questions and answers. It should be in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. If you do not see it, go to the upper right-hand corner of your screen and click the question mark, and you'll be able to write your questions in the box on the bottom right. If you have any additional questions, you could contact NTSB Media Relations at 202-314-6100. And make sure to type your question along with your name and media affiliation and submit it. And I will read the questions. Chairman?
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining. As you see today, the NTSB issued important recommendations to, in an attempt to prevent tragedies like what happened at Schoharie 2 years ago. I think these recommendations will go a long way towards improving safety so that we don't have disasters like this again.
Great. And we have a question from Larry Rulison from the newspaper in the New York State, although he does not have the question written down. Larry, if you could write it down. Okay. So I want to know what you think the reason was why state police would not allow the NTSB better access. Was it to protect the Cuomo administration?
Well, I think the best answer for that is you'd have to check with the New York State Police. We were, as you heard, we were extremely disappointed. Their protection of the evidence, which I do believe it needs to be protected, but by keeping us out of the investigation as long as they did, it really delayed our completing the investigation by about a year. And as I said early on, safety delayed is safety denied. So again, I think going back to the New York State Police would be the best way to try and understand what their motivations were.
Okay. If anyone would like to submit a question, please do so right now. In the lower right-hand corner, there should be a Q&A box for your name, affiliation, and question. If not, click on the question mark box in the upper right-hand corner. We'll give it 10 more seconds for anyone else to write additional questions. Those are the questions we have right now. We don't have any further questions, Chairman.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. I'm sorry, I'm here also from Larry Wilson. I also want to know if you tried to get in touch with Shahid Hussein, with him being an FBI informant, a reason the DOT treated his son with kid gloves with regard to the inspections.
It's a good question. I'm not sure if we actually tried to get in touch with him. It's my understanding that from media reports actually that he was in Pakistan. I don't know if he's returned, but of course we were not even able to interview his son, Nauman Hussein. So I'm not sure if we attempted, but I think that their lawyers would have prevented had we tried, which is fair. I mean, he's got a criminal investigation going on. I understand that aspect of it. What I think is the most frustrating aspect, again, is that law enforcement agencies and the Schoharie County District Attorney took measures to prevent us from having timely access to the wreckage. And as I pointed out, the United States Code, the law, the powers granted to us by Congress entitle us to be able to do this. And of course, Judge Bartlett weighed in on this as well. And there's over a 70-page document in the NTSB docket that has all the correspondence between the district attorney and our attorney, our general counsel, and the judge. And the judge, I think, was, I mean, I can cite some of the things the judge had to say about it. You know, the Judge Bartlett wrote a letter on January the 18th, and again, this is in the docket, and he wrote that this impasse has to stop. He points out that there must be hundreds, if not thousands, of accidents where there's been criminal investigation occurring cooperatively and simultaneously with the NTSB. He says, what is clear is that this is an untenable situation. Two critically important investigations are being delayed over unsubstantiated concerns by the people, that an NTSB investigation will taint their investigation. He says the people's position effectively precludes the NTSB from performing its equally important public safety inquiry. And he goes on from there. That's on page 9 of that particular letter.
And Chairman, we have another question from Larry Rulison, who once again is with the Albany Times-Union newspaper in New York State. He said, have you ever blamed, and blamed is Larry's word, a government agency for a disaster before?
Yeah, and I do want to make the point that Eric just pointed out. We don't use the word blame, and we're not here to point fingers, to lay blame, to assign fault. We're not here to help the lawyers build their cases. We're here to allow the facts to speak for themselves and lay them out. Some would say the probable cause is a statement of blame. It is not. By international protocols, the purpose of an accident or an incident investigation shall not be for the purpose of blame or assessing liability. It shall be to determine the causes so that we can prevent future accidents. Now, having said that, to answer your question, absolutely, on a regular basis, we will call out a regulatory authority for not providing adequate oversight or not enforcing the regulations that they had. We do that on a very frequent basis.
And Chairman, we have a question from Spencer Tracy from News 10 ABC. What's next? Will the NTSB follow up on recommendations?
Yeah, Spencer, thank you for your question. We will follow up on those recommendations. So we will send our recommendations to the recommendation recipients. If it's a federal agency, as in the case of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, I think there's a requirement that they have to respond within 90 days. They don't necessarily have to do what we've asked them within 90 days, but they do have to respond. State agencies and associations such as the National Limousine Association, there's no requirement for them to respond to us. But, I once heard somebody say the NTSB doesn't have any teeth. Well, that may be true, but we certainly have very sharp gums, and we do stay on people and point out that they have not responded to our recommendations, or they have not responded appropriately. So we do expect people to take our recommendations very seriously. Thank you for your question.
And Spencer has a follow-up question. New York State took some hits in the report. I guess you said it's not about blame, it's about fixing the future. Which recommendation stands out as the most critical?
That's a good question. And we don't rank order our recommendations. It's the entire package. And I want to point out that it's not only the 6 recommendations that we adopted today, but it also is the 4 recommendations that we adopted a year ago when we came out with the safety recommendation package. I just want to look at that real quickly. It would be the 6 we adopted today, plus the 1, 2, 3 recommendations we issued last year and reiterated another recommendation. So if you look at all 10 recommendations collectively, I think it forms a nice package to form several layers of defense. We've asked the federal government for the FMCSA to strengthen, and you heard what we voted on in the board meeting, we wanted to strengthen that. The FMCSA needs to do a better job of enforcing carrier compliance with out of service orders. We want the state of New York specifically. We issued 4 recommendations to the state of New York today, and then 1 to the National Limousine Association. So I think all of them together are important, and it's like putting blocks, building blocks. If you pull one out, the whole thing collapses. So we think that they are all critically important to building a comprehensive, holistic approach to improving limousine safety.
Thank you. We have, another question from Rulison, and then we'll wrap it up in about 5 minutes. If anyone has any questions, write them now before the session ends. From Larry Rulison, once again from the Times Union, do you think your recommendations and report will lead to the demise of stretch limos in the future?
Well, I think that stretch limos can certainly be operated safely if the modification is done properly, if the operator maintains the vehicle properly, if they register it with the state so that the state can provide the appropriate levels of oversight, if they ensure that their drivers are medically fit to drive the vehicles, and that they operate their vehicles safely. And so I think that stretch limousines can be operated safely. But unfortunately, in this case, we saw a very, very tragic case where that did not happen. It looks like Prestige Limo took every measure they possibly could to skirt the requirements.
Thank you, Chairman. This concludes today's virtual media briefing. For follow-up questions, you can contact me at eric.weiss@ntsb.gov. That's eric.weiss@ntsb.gov, or you can call me directly at 202-297-3490. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, everyone, for participating.
Thank you very much.